1-800-644-2168. That's 1-800-644-2168.
The Channel 3 Storm Alert Team, weather coverage you can count on.
For many people watching, the weekend might bring plans to go look at homes. And if you are in the market to buy a house, you know there aren't a whole lot to choose from. Bruce Dodd joins us this morning from People's Home Equity. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard, Bruce, there are fewer houses on the market right now than ever before in Chattanooga's history. True?
Yeah, that's true. So I think that bodes well for the future of the housing market, because obviously demand has surpassed supply. And so that's a good thing for those that are selling a house. So if you're going to sell a house these days, it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to take a look at that. For those that are buying houses, it just means that a couple things. One is you need to be in a situation where you're very clear on what it is that's important to you in a house. And when you find that, you've got to be ready to go very quickly. So it's a time where you really want to be prepared from a financial standpoint. It's best to be fully approved. And so if you're not working with a mortgage company that has already underwritten your loan, that's not a good place to be, because you want to make sure your offer is standing out. But it's one of those times where you just need to be very clear about what you're looking for. And when you find it, you need to be ready to pull the trigger.
Okay, so for those who maybe they've been in their house for 20 years, they haven't been in the housing market for a while, the terms are very different. There was a time where you would go buy a house and you would put an offer down and you'd have that contingency offer. Once I sell mine, I'll buy yours. Is that more difficult to do right now because everyone's looking to sell quickly?
Well, it can be. I mean, I see it done, pretty much every day, but it's harder to do, because often the competitive landscape, if there's 5 people that want to buy that house and 2 of them don't have to sell houses, then
Right.
they're in a position. So whatever your situation is, it's important to be working with a realtor that you trust. Or the realtor that you're working with needs to be very clear on what it is you're looking for. They need to know your entire situation, because they need to help you craft the right scenario to be successful when you make an offer on a house.
I guess because the pickings are so slim, so to speak, you might see some people who are choosing to refinance and then do some improvements to their existing home. You kind of surprised me last time you and I talked, because you said it might be a time to consider refinancing. Typically, that's not your advice.
Well, I think that refinancing often, I think people give a little short shrift to the thought process. I think it's important, if you're considering refinancing your house, to be very clear on what the costs and benefits are going to be and what your plans for the house are. I think, for example, if you've got 23 or 24 years left on a mortgage, yes, you may be able to save on the monthly payment if you're jumping back to 30 years, but your overall costs are going up. The rate at which you're going to be gaining equity is going to be set back some. And so I think it's really important to look to see, what are your plans for the house?
That makes sense. And certainly if you don't have, if all you have is 10 years or so, that would not be a good idea unless you're going with a 15-year mortgage.
Well, you can even do a 10-year mortgage. So I think it's important. You can do 30, 20, 15, or 10. And so I think it's important to look at those. I think it's important to look at the costs and to look at what the savings are. But I think you need to look at it in its entirety. I wouldn't just get too caught up in, my rate is this and my new rate can be that. I think you need to look at it a little deeper than that. Make sure you understand the costs. Make sure you understand the long-term benefits and the long-term costs, and balance all that before you make that decision.
Okay, I only have a couple of minutes left, but does that mean if somebody picks up the phone and calls you, whether they're a new buyer or they're looking to refinance, are you going to give them advice and not just say, oh, sure, I'll handle your mortgage for you?
Well, there are some people who really don't want my advice. They just feel like they know what they want to do. That's cool. We'll help you too. But if you're looking for some thoughts on it, we're happy to provide that. So with our clients, we're going to go at your pace. If you're somebody who says, hey, look, I've only had this mortgage a couple of years. I just want to refinance in 30 years. I want to know what the costs are, how much can you save me, and what's the rate going to be. Cool. We won't we don't have to go into a long dissertation. If you're somebody who's not sure and has some questions, we'll answer your questions until you feel like you're comfortable with knowing which direction to go.
Well, let me tell you something. I miss the days of you coming into the studio, sitting on the green couch with me, because I miss our long dissertations. Bruce, you're a very fun person to talk to for me.
Well, thank you so much. You are as well.
You can find Bruce and the whole team at People's Home Equity by giving them a call, 591-9801. The website is chatmortgage.com. He is a locally owned business, which means you're going to bump into him at the grocery store, so he's going to want to treat you right. Bruce, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Far too